guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. A little bit squashed on the screen this morning. That's because I've already made some room so that Fabrizio and Ian can join us in a couple of moments. Just want to say a few hellos. And if you're feeling a little fatigued like me this morning, it may be because of as Mrs. M was telling me, there was an eclipse late last night, possibly. If she's tuned in this morning, she'll let us know more about that. But it may have affected your waters or similar, your constitution, the effect of the heavenly bodies. Who doesn't like to be affected by a heavenly body any time of the day, really? And a gumper quandary or a dilemma, as João Ernesto is putting it, in João Ernesto de Lima, he's calling himself. I have a dilemma. I need to get 15 goldfish fry babies out of my pond. And I've been trying for 4 days and only have 3. They're elusive little creatures, aren't they? Obviously. So if anybody in our community has experience of fry fishing, goldfish, I guess fish are fairly similar. No, maybe not. Some are top and some are bottom feeders, aren't they? And they have different habits, I guess, in the pond ecosystem. I did ask how big they are as well. T-Duck's in saying that's rather a personal question, which it is. I do accept that. However, João does say they're about 2 inches to 10 centimeters. So they're not tiny, but they're proving quite elusive so far. So, Jackie might have some help on that. She lives on a canal. She may have a connection with fish. Bon dia, Gumpers, from a beautiful, sunny Grand Union Canal this morning. Antonio F. also in this morning, as is the old guy in Europe. How you doing, James? And Coach Turner, of course, with the Bon dia Gumpers. Feliz Quinta, como está? It looks like the rain has finally stopped for a few days. Well, we've got it over here now. And my experiment yesterday, the continued experiment of 300 days of sunshine. It's 1 day of sunshine, 1 day of not sunshine so far in the 365-day experiment that is going to be running from the 1st of October to the 1st of 24 through to the 1st of October 25. We are actually going to be measuring this in a year-long research project. It's 50-50 so far. Try a 22-liter. Is that a suggestion for catching fish, possibly? I'm not sure what that means, but Antonio F seems to. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. We'll be welcoming Ali a little bit later on, and we're having our monthly preview of Snapshot magazine. But let's go over to Lisbon now and find out what's happening from Fabrizio and Ian. Morning, Fabrizio. A bit of coffee. Just are you suffering in the same way as me? A little bit fatigued this morning?
I had to wake up and at what time did this eclipse happen?
I think Mrs. M told me to just take a few moments because I think it was an advantageous eclipse for my particular set of astrological circumstances. Sure. And I think she was saying at around 8 o'clock yesterday evening. But I don't think these things happen on pinpoint. They come and they go, and there's an easing in and easing out of these things. So were you aware of anything?
I had to have cereals by 11:30, 12 o'clock last night, out of the sudden, like a pregnancy thing. Yeah.
So you had to what?
A bowl of cereal. I got up and I had a bowl of cereal, and I wasn't. Yeah. So out of a sudden,
something stirred, didn't it? Something stirred.
Something there must be because it never happens. I was in bed, literally. Yeah.
And then suddenly you had the urge to go grab the granola. Right. Right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
I wonder.
I think there's also an autumnal atmosphere, isn't there? We've got this 300 days of sunshine thing ongoing. And that's why we've come to Portugal. It's a country of light, isn't it? If not heat necessarily, then definitely light.
Yeah.
And then when it's not, I think it has quite an effect on the human spirit when it's a bit overcast. Bit of that going on as well. Seasonal affective disorder, sad, isn't it? It's called.
No, yeah, well.
It's probably less so here, though. That's one thing I have to say. In London, I think it was a different story. Like in that December, January, February, it's dark all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that.
Really.
Yeah.
Because it can go on for days on end, can't it? The greyness. We are blessed here, aren't we? That even if it's a rainy day, things might clear, and you might get some brilliant sunshine or light. You get a blue sky and some light for a little while, and that's so enriching for the soul, I think. And I don't know how Londoners do it, having spent some time away from there now.
Well, we met with a friend of ours, Noriko, and she lives in London. Noriko is Japanese, obviously, by the name, but she lives in London. And she said, we met in Porto, and it was quite covered, also because a lot of the fires were happening at that same time.
Oh, you've been up to Porto, have you?
Yeah. And then I said, it's a bit covered, there's not very sunny. And she said, well, I went to work the other day, and it was 6 degrees in the morning. So I was like, no, we cool then.
I think we need such stories to help us feel better. My goodness, thank you. Well, love to them this morning in a presumably back in a grey London. How was Porto? Did you enjoy your time up there?
Yeah, I had a good time.
It was a bit of a strange time because it was a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of the fires were going on at the same time. It was that day.
We got the warning as we went up, and then obviously on the Monday, the Tuesday was the kind of real.
So we had to wear a mask, like in the COVID days, to avoid
to
breathe in ashes, and it was quite sad, actually.
Horrible, yeah. But you were able to have a good time despite that.
Oh, I loved it.
Can I ask you what you enjoyed in Porto?
Well, we took her around more because she hadn't seen a lot, so of course we tended to know it. So we did quite a bit around the river, especially around Gaia. We went all did the port part of it. So a lot of the touristy bits. The one day when it was quite bad, the smoke, we went to a museum up there.
Fundação Serralves. They had the Yahoi Kusama exhibition.
Yeah.
And it was quite spectacular.
But it's actually very big because they've just opened up another part of that. So if you've never been to Porto and art galleries are your thing, then that's the place to go. It's a real sort of day out almost.
Yeah.
And easy to get to, centrally located?
Not too central, but it's quite easy to get to. So yeah.
There you go, art lovers in Porto. Anything else people should look out for whilst they're up there?
What else do we have? I mean, we ate a lot.
Yeah. Well, we go to Porto.
Yeah,
we go to Porto quite a lot. We really enjoyed it. I think it's got a real younger vibe than Lisbon, I think. No. And as young fellas ourselves.
You need that kind of action, don't you?
We do. That's what you do. Yeah. And what else? I think the world of wine, if wine is your thing, on the other side of the river, Gaia, wow. If not for what they do, is for the place itself. Architecturally, I think it's rather spectacular. And
also another thing actually was we were wandering a lot around the shops because it's surprising how many Portuguese brands there are actually being sold there, which you don't see very much outside of there. A lot of shops selling stuff, including the bottom of
and also there's an incredible shop. I don't remember what the name are, but if people Google it, will find out. Is there are makers of brooms and hairbrushes and clothes brushes and.
It sounds the most obscure thing, but
the most incredible stuff.
And some of them are slightly sculpted and all sorts of things. They're beautiful.
Really? Another Harry Potter reference, possibly, because you've got the Librerio Lello, haven't you, there, which is inspired J.K. Rowling with that. Broomstick makers.
Brooms itself.
Yeah. Or anything, brushes or really
everything with a bristle.
Yeah,
everything with a bristle. Is that could be a great strapline for them? I think my mother-in-law was a test pilot in that broom factory, actually, if I remember rightly. Yes, good. Okay, thank you for that little guide to Porto. We'll come back to Lisbon, where you are, of course, as well, and your beautiful apartment, which we showcased just recently, and people can see that deep dive into what it's like to live Oh, yeah, actually, what it's like to live in your apartment as well as what it's like to live in that area.
That's
and
true.
you started something here, I think. Cereal for dinner is underrated. Well, this was a pre-bedtime snack, really.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I had dinner before.
Okay, thinking of breakfast cereal, can I actually buy normal, not long life milk in Portugal? You can for my cocoa pods. Or do I just continue to smother them in chocolate? That's quite an extreme reaction to not being able to get fresh milk, smothering it in chocolate. That's quite a good solution to many things in life. Yes, you can. You have to go to the cold storage of the supermarket, and you can buy fresh milk. But I think because of allegedly it gets quite hot here sometimes. Not that you'd have any sense of it today. Yeah, regular milk goes off very quickly, so that you do get used to the UHT. I have, and I never thought I would. When I made my first cup of tea with a really weak tea bag and UHT milk, I almost went home back to England. It was a very difficult moment, I have to say, but I persevered, and it's fine now. Have you found the same sort of thing? Are you used to UHT now?
We drink coffee with soy milk. So
do you?
It's we're so punk rock those days.
Yeah. And how do you stop it? How do you stop it to separating, curdling?
We give it a little shake, like many things.
Like many things. What to get it?
Yeah.
Right. So coffee with soy milk. That's not much help to Jackie here. But so are you somewhat vegan then? Are you eschewing the milk products?
No, it's just very good.
Just in coffee. Right, okay. Very Hoxton. Very, very London. That's a London touch, I think, coffee with soy milk.
No, that will be like semi-skimmed organic Himalayan almonds and
yak milk.
We buy the milk. Usually the one that is discounted.
Right. Okay. So Jackie, yes, the answer is yes. You can buy fresh milk, but you have to go to the fridge department, obviously. But if you go to the other milk section, it's a whole aisle usually. And I don't know why. There are a lot of, funny enough, thinking about it now, there are a lot of milk brands, aren't there? And they're all the kind of same really inside. And you can get bio. You can get an biological organic one as well. But there's a hell of a lot of milk, and it's sold in 6 liter, in liter packages, cartons, but in a 6-pack of those, generally speaking, with a handy handle on top, which tends to crease up all the
and if it's raining a little bit, the thing will come apart. We bought one and it's
actually we got one yesterday. It was cardboard.
It was
stepped out inside your raid. It's like great.
So we have six things of soy milk.
Oh, happy times.
With a handle.
There you go. Okay, so that's one problem solved this morning, or a question about milk. Do you know anything about catching fish, fellas? From a pond? Okay, so no help there as yet.
I think just drain the pond, but I thought that might not be quite normal.
Drastic. Drain the pond. Okay, sounds quite political. Right. And the last few weeks, says Antonio F, have been great for me sports-wise, as my favourite team has won the last 5 matches with a new coach, including yesterday's 4-0 win at Atletico Madrid for the Champions League. Excellent. So well done, Sporting. No, that's not. That isn't Sporting, is it? Because we had Sporting playing the night before last, so they can't have been playing again last night. Well, sorry to ask though, who is your team? It's got to be Benfica, isn't it? Yes, there we go, Benfica. That was a thrashing, says Pete. Who doesn't like a good thrashing first thing in the morning? I think Pete does, actually. Thank you, Solar Life and Carl. Here we go. Melt cereal inspiration. Melt a Mars bar, mix it with Cocoa Pops, roll it into balls, smother in chocolate, homemade toffee crisp. There you go. Very good, but better. You say, and my kids found the variety pack, the Kellogg's variety pack, which is always a nice way to have cereals. Not a lot in there, though, I have to say, but I guess the bigger you get, the more that appears to be the case. When we go to Porto, says by Andy, we get off the train on the Gaia side. It's easier to stagger down to the port than to slog up it. Very good. Thank you for that tip in Porto. And a big Tony, shame you don't get to play Celtic. You would have had enough room on the school. You wouldn't have had enough room on the scoreboard. Football humor there. I prefer oat or coconut milk in coffee, but like juice on cereal.
Wow.
What is this?
Ooh,
okay. It's an American habit, isn't it? Yeah, American. Talking of strange culinary habits and Americans, tried biscuits in gravy. Not sure why the Americans rave about it so much. So that doesn't look especially appetizing, does it? Biscuits and gravy.
Not to me.
Fabrizio, you look quite shocked by that, I have to say.
I do. That could be competing with fried Mars bars, I guess. So,
Well, I've never tried. I would actually. I would go there.
We did once.
Did we?
Yeah, we did once. We did half and half.
On the way back from the pub.
The soft approach. It's quite good, actually. Yeah. I mean, you die sooner than
it's quite good. You die sooner.
You die sooner, but it's good. Yeah.
Used rice milk for years. Okay, it's a milk special this morning. We used rice milk for years. The closest to dairy I could find, and it's great for me. Yeah, and actually you can get that whole range of oat, rice, coconut and rice, various milks, and those really expensive ones. There's some nasty stuff in the really elaborate, complicated milks, though, I think. It's hard. There we go. It's hard to find a veg milk that doesn't contain sugar or seed oil. That's
we get the sugar-free one. There's one that is actually states that is sugar-free, because some of them will have quite a high content of it.
Yes. Now, I mentioned to you about the Italian population in Portugal. Yeah. It turns out there are quite a few Italians in Portugal. They rank quite highly and surprisingly in the league tables of nationalities that moved to Portugal. So let's finish talking about milk here, and then we'll come back to Italians in Portugal. Almond milk was commonly used in the Middle Ages. It is easy to make. You just soak your nuts overnight, basically, and you end up with a nice milk. In the morning. I died when asking for milk in a shop that I think is in PT, possibly. They didn't speak English, so I ended up mooing. Did you start milking yourself as well in there? Then the whole shop started laughing and mooing. Well, that sounds like a great... Oh, if only you'd videoed that. I'd have played that on the Good Morning Portugal show. That's excellent. Well done, Jackie. Mrs. Duck used to make rice milk, but it's a lot of work. I imagine it is. There are a few brands here that don't have the seed oil poison. Get thee back, seed oils. Very good. And I hardly drink even rice milk at all. Just a splash in my coffee. Pingado style. Very good. A bit of coffee education as well there. The Pingado. A little splash. What? I put fruit and I put fruit and juice on cereal, usually oat or bran cereal. That I'm not familiar with that. With putting a juice in cereal, although juice is our Portuguese treat of the week, so maybe try it. And because juice is so much better here than I remember in the UK. We've got the lovely Compal company as well. We'll look more at them tomorrow, probably. That wasn't biscuits in gravy. Yeah. It looked like biscuits in gravy to me. Yeah, those are biscuits, and that is.
No, I think that what they refer the Americans is that stuff that you take in that you can order in fried chicken takeaway stuff. Right. And you can have two pieces in a biscuit, and a biscuit is a kind of a bready muffin thingy with
a bit like their cornbread, which is actually cake.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, okay, funny bunch, aren't they? Notice it was a Scottish meme. Yeah, okay, James. I'm gonna endeavour to create the Portuguese version of biscuits in gravy as well. Watch out for that. We'll be doing that here soon. You can make almond milk with wine. What, you just throw all the nuts and the milk away and just drink the wine? Yes, definitely improvement. There you go. Yeah, that was a Scottish interpretation, I think, of biscuits and gravy. And then it was deep fried in batter, as you pointed out there, Ian, I suspect as well. Juice on my cornflakes would, American Joao saying there, yeah, that would be just wrong, basically. So a little bit of cereal-based controversy this morning. Let's see if we can stir up some more controversy.
Serial killers?
Cereal, that is serial killing in my world anyway, but I guess don't knock it till you've tried it. All right. What's this? Careful. This people read chat, so please don't write nonsense. Well, that's never stopped anyone before, so let's see if that warning does work this morning. Okay, right. Italians in Portugal. Have you noticed this, Fabrizio? Are there many of your country folk you notice here in Portugal, and why is it so popular with the Italians?
Well, I don't. Well, I think. Okay, to start with that, I feel very strongly about it.
Do you? There is a slightly awkward air developing. Okay.
Thank you. The Italian, we pretty much everywhere, I have to be honest.
That's
more and more in younger for the younger generation. I think Portugal became quite popular at the time where retirement was easier in Portugal than in Italy because of taxation.
Ah, okay.
But I think that we have been mostly everywhere and all the time, and it's part of our history, really.
Yes.
Of a country and people that are immigrant, emigrant, migrant, and all this other stuff. So it's part of our story. It's part of who we are, and we always been. That's why I feel quite strongly about the Italians or Italy as a nation or Italians' approach to immigration, because that's who we are. And regretfully, I can see in my own people. I actually have to say that I don't happen to hang out with a lot of Italians at the moment, and I've never been really that much, apart from people that were my friends for a long time. But I haven't lived in Italy for a long time, and I don't surround myself with a huge number of Italians. I happen to know a few of them, but I don't stick with my own people in between parentheses. And we are the only people that are migrants in their own DNA, but have no memories of it. So I find it so disappointing because also another population that is made of immigration and migration is the Portuguese, but they seem to have not forgotten about it.
Oh, I see. In terms of being more welcoming and hospitable in one's own country. Yeah, I guess you might say that about the English as well. So you make a number of interesting points there, I think. And if we have a look at the league table here, that's why this came to mind. Brazil, by a long way, is number one. Inward migration into Portugal, close to 370,000 in 2023, followed by former colonies Angola and Cape Verde, as you might expect as well. United Kingdom in fourth place, including bots. Is that like bots from social media? Are they actually? Have we got?
They invaded.
Yes, coming into Portugal, it's a good place on a digital nomad visa, presumably. I don't know what that means.
Are they Daleks?
British Overseas Territories. That sounds very colonial.
Well, that's broad.
All right, okay. India in fifth place, and then Italy. With 36,227 to be exact, at number 6 in the
and right above Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah, which is also another little bit of a surprise. But then that is also a former colony, isn't it? I think as well. So that would account for Guinea-Bissau being in there. And yes, you also make the interesting point as well that you don't tend to hang out with other Italians, and that's quite an expat thing, isn't it, or an immigrant or a foreigner thing. There are those who do and those who don't, aren't there? There are those who seek out their fellow country folk in the new country, and then there are others who think, well, I didn't move away to be with people from my own country, so I'll be avoiding that meetup and that association.
I guess you've been away for a long time as well, haven't you? So
I think my experience of immigrant or migrant from my own country is not a very recent one. It's literally half of my life.
Right.
And if you consider that, because I moved to London in '97.
Wow.
And so
which is also the last time you lived in Italy, so you haven't really lived in Italy.
And I never went back. I went back for Christmases and weddings and stuff like that, and to see my family and to run away a week after that.
It is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, my mother left the Far East in the '60s to be in London, and it is really fascinating because she's been in England for most of her life, but doesn't look English. And I don't know. I mean, I think she feels English, but I mean, what does it take? How many generations does it take for one to become no longer the expat or the foreigner or the immigrant, and to not only feel settled but be seen as settled? And I don't have it down as a first generation thing. Probably not a second generation thing. It might even take 3 generations for that to occur. So, and then all that time, whilst you are the foreigner abroad and you spent most of your life away from your home country, you're still associated with that home country.
Yeah, this is funny because a lot of our friends also because we live for a brief period in Wembley, close to Wembley. So a lot of our friends, a lot of acquaintances, work colleagues, they were of Asian background, Indian background, and it's true. I mean, there was nothing more English than those people. Nothing like third generation British born and bred from Indian grandparents, but they still had a sense of Indian heritage. Which at the end of it, they say, oh, but then we go to India. It's like, it's nothing what we've been taught because they have India like a portrait of India that is 70 years old. The grandmother took with her and never. So it's like, it's belonging to a culture, I suppose, or a background of who you are, but it's not belonging to a place, a geographical location, I suppose. So I will be Italian for my own life.
Well, there is also a national thing, isn't there? There is also this national identity which we all have, weirdly enough. And it's a very strange thing, isn't it, now that, I mean, that comes into immigration, all these sort of things. It's like you feel something is invading part of your nation because somehow you still feel like that, you know. I mean, you could be probably an Italian living on the border with France or Portuguese living on the border with Spain, and you literally go 50 kilometers and they're two different, you know.
Yes.
The difference is stark.
It's powerful, isn't it? Powerful stuff.
Yeah, and it's weird now, isn't it, that you kind of, as you said, the people who moved away, if you went back again, would say, I'm now looking back at a different country to when I moved away.
Yes.
Yeah, at the same time, it's then like, oh, but look, it's changed because of other things. But no, it's changed just because even if Italy would say, because the Italians would have changed, you know, just as in the 70s and 80s when it was very, you know, it went from a very poor country post-war, which had virtually nothing to
a very, very poor country.
No, but in that interim, that interim when there was kind of, you know, the renaissance of Italy in terms of engineering and all those sort of things, it became a big industrial power. It suddenly became very rich, and now it's gone back again. So, you know.
Fascinating. Yeah, and something else that occurred to me, there are those countries that are famous for migrating, aren't they? Like, you know, the Irish and the Australians and the English. And I wouldn't necessarily have put the Italians in that group of people. But you're absolutely right.
I mean, we look at those things about New York. It's like how much New York is built by Italians.
Right. It never occurred to me.
And the Irish.
And the Irish, that's what I said. But they were two generations that moved away. All over the place.
And Latin America and
yes.
And
I wonder which is the group that tends to stay at home. It's probably Americans, funnily enough, isn't it? Per capita, for the amount of people who don't move around the world. Americans, I think, probably rate quite highly in that, interestingly. So there you go.
It's not hard in America, isn't it, to move around because it's such a big country that is similar. I won't say the same, but it's similar. You know, like, as I say, here, if you look at the size of Europe, you know, you can travel. In America, you could travel 1,000 miles and still be in America. Here, you could travel 1,000 kilometers and be in 5 different countries. You know, all of which have their own personality and their own way of looking.
Very true. So, very true. These are powerful ideas, aren't they? Which I don't really the cursory sort of stereotypes and our first instincts around these things or first reactions don't necessarily. Are not sustained under a little bit of nuanced discussion like we've had this morning. So that's fascinating. And there you go. That's why there are quite a lot, relatively speaking, a lot of Italians in.
It is interesting, though, that the younger population is definitely more prevalent here. Because at one point, it was definitely the older population escaping for, you know, NHR because they could come here, they didn't pay the tax on their pensions. Right. But now actually, we see a lot of young people are starting up a lot of young businesses. There's one just actually down here, which is the library. Which literally is in the road in front of us. And they opened up this very small library, but they have a lot of events on, and that has become another Italian sort of gathering ground for these different.
Really, an Italian library?
Small, but
they have actually they stock quite small editorial houses. It's quite interesting. Quite interesting. I discovered a lot of writers through them.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's why Americans probably don't travel very much. When you've got an American biscuit at home, why would you go anywhere else? And you can also put Coors beer on your cornflakes. I tried it once, says T-Duck. It actually wasn't too bad. Okay, so there's no need to leave America. When you can reach culinary heights of that kind, why would you go anywhere else in the world? Of course. Bon dia todos from the Squire. Morning to you, Squire. And look, that sounds nice. It's kind of like a Francesinha, but the cause hasn't been cooked. The alcohol has not been burnt off, I don't think. It's a very distant cousin. Cornflakes a la Francesinha. Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay. Well, I'll kiss you goodbye, all of you.
Yes, ciao, ciao.
No, I do, but Ian will stay. I've got a course. Bye.
Ciao. There he goes. Right, okay, thank you. There you go. Nice big round of applause. And let's bring Ali on. Talking of Ali. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think that was anything.
I missed you before he ran off.
What did I say? I haven't said anything yet, so it can't be my fault.
And off he goes. And yes, maybe to get another bowl of cereal, perhaps.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I think that's probably what's going on there. Good morning to you, Ali. How are you? How's the Algarve this morning?
I'm fine. I've got a good Devon word for you. It's very mizzly this morning.
Mizzly. There you go. He's come back to say hi.
Oh, yeah. Lots of Devon mizzle this morning. It's
right. Have you got a different microphone as well this morning?
Why, is it good or bad?
You're sounding very echoey and it's sounding quite cavernous in your kitchen there this morning. But we will persevere. If you've got a choice of microphones, you might want to choose the more intimate. But let's see what happens. Ray Thompson is in this morning as well. Good morning, Ray. Don't mention Bologna. They were beaten by Liverpool last night. It's okay. Fabrizio's gone now. Viva Italia, beautiful country. If you could pass this part of the memo on, Ian, that'd be great. Viva Italia, beautiful country with an enlightening past. Leonardo da Vinci, to mention just one, and Leonardo DiCaprio to mention another, although not really Italian. So you would have energy for the whole morning if you put beer on your cornflakes. This could catch on. Liz is here from Paris. Hello, good morning, Carl, and the lads in Lisbon, Ian and Fabrizio. About the broom shop in Porto, is it the tiny, narrow one with brooms and brushes on display all over the doors and walls?
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah, okay. All right.
They also have opened up another one actually in the bottom of World of Wines is now one of all different Portuguese products. So there was one there where we saw was quite interesting to go into because the people that run them, I think he's the third generation or the fourth generation. Right. Who are still making all these different brooms, but they're not just brooms. Some of them are really small. They're kind of. He had one which was a type that they'd made. Which is, when you get the little balls of fluff or something on your clothes, just to a brush that just takes it off. So they had like a whole range of stuff, right, for this really small one, right, to the sort of the big-sized brooms. But it was quite impressive to see. And
so good that we have hardware shops all over the country still as well. Do like a hardware shop. We have those. That's a tradition that's continuing here. So Ali, how is it? Mizzly in the Algarve? And anything else to report from down south?
Lots of mizzle and drizzle and sea mist, but it's okay. It'll clear up. We'll be all right in a while.
Yeah, we always have that. We always have that possibility, don't we, to look forward to. Here, it's very Portuguese actually to put red wine in your soup, in your breakfast soup, that is, and in your coffee, a little snifter of aguardente as well, the café con cheirinho. For me, on this matter of migration, and we'll get into the new edition of Snapshot in just a moment. For me, it's not so much what country someone is from; it's about aligning with the culture, regardless of what country you're from. It's all very fascinating, I think, isn't it? This immigration.
And I think actually that's a very good point to make, though, because that's one thing that you have to take away. You can't just come. I think that's one mistake I often see with expats.
Yep.
It's this idea that you arrive with your thing and you try and stay with your culture and then wonder why it doesn't feel like it's working. And it's like, wait, because you just missed half the fun. So.
Yes. Yeah. No matter how loud I shout, these people don't seem to be understanding me. Right. Okay. That's in its worst form. Thank you for that, James. And thank you, because I start to think, Heaven, I am a very selfish kind that do random here and there. I respect your time, so please continue. I will keep your link and not do too much disturbing here. You could disturb us all you like. We're quite disturbed already, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try a bit more. Gifted 5, the Good Morning Portugal Show membership. Well, thank you very much, T-Duck. I've not seen that on our screen before, but thank you very much indeed. Does your family still try to feed you up and constantly cook for you when you return? That's an Italian question, obviously, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Well, they do.
They do they?
Obviously.
and food parcels as well. Our Italian friends found Portuguese far easier to learn than the North Europeans. Oh, that's good. That's useful as well, isn't it? If you're from Italy.
Yeah.
3 generations. Immigrants' children born in the country with parents who didn't move there. There you go. That's why it's 3 generations. That's very interesting. So, could you give the address? As would love to revisit next time I go to Porto, which I've not been to for 6 or 7 years. So, can you give us a little bit of a location on that, Ian?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it actually. Yeah, I'll see
good on you.
Okay.
Look at this. This is a very English-sounding name, isn't it, Ray Thompson? I'm sure you will agree with me, Ray. However, been out of the UK for over 40 years and have never looked back. You get a pain in your neck if you look back for 40 years. And by the way, got to see the video of your lovely apartment last night. That's to you.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you.
Bye, Randy. Also, and good morning to you. That was my wife's granddad's excuse. What's that? Oh, yeah, to have a little bit of a chorizo in the morning or on his cereal. They wake up early, especially in the summer, due to the heat. Thank you very much. Not to mention being separated by huge bodies of water. That is all part of it as well, isn't it? And why people might stay in the United States. Carry on, Heaven. Good to see you here this morning. You keep going. And message to you from Jackie specifically. This is a great group. We're all different with many levels of crazy, none taken, but all in a good way. Enjoy the group and please feel free to comment and join in the chat. So a lovely welcome from Jackie there. Right, let's get into the current edition of Snapshot then. How's it been putting this one together, Ali?
Yeah, it's been fine. I've got a little top tip before you start. You like this? How to make your Portuguese vehicle look years younger for about 20 euros. Ready?
Yes.
We've got an old Honda Jazz, 2005. Still going strong, still looking good. It needed its annual inspection, EPO.
Yes.
So we put in for a service, and the garage turned around and said, "There's one thing it's going to fail on. You've got to have new number plates before we take it over for the EPO." So I'm like, "Okay, new number plates, fine, about 20 euros." And they went, "The good news is the new number plates don't have, because the old number plates have the year and the month, don't they, on the side of the number? The new ones don't. So we've now got brand new shiny number plates with no year on them, and suddenly our car looks years younger."
Timeless.
I don't know how old it is anymore. It's brilliant.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And I suspect the test cost around 40 euros, is it? 30 euros?
Yeah, 39 something, yeah.
So another year's motoring for around 50 or 60 euros, and your car looks new. I mean, I tell you what, if you wash it and put a full tank in, it will just feel like a new car, won't it?
It's brilliant, isn't it? I just smiled when I looked at it. It's like my car sat on the drive going, "Look at me. I'm all new and tiny now, and you've got to tell her what I am." I'm thinking, if only we could do that, it would be great, wouldn't it?
There's the thing. New passports with no ages on them. Exactly. Yeah, the immigration people just have to guess when you arrive here or any other border control. Yeah, and I suspect it's probably doubled its value as well. Your Honda Jazz will probably be worth about 250,000 euros now with that as well. That little
honestly, mate, it owes us absolutely nothing. We've had it about 13 years now. It only had about 20,000 on the clock when we bought it. It's up over 260,000 now. Still going strong, bless it. Good as gold.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's how we roll in Portugal. We hold on to our cars, which I think is the most ecological thing to do, quite frankly. Right. There we go. A beautiful cover shot from Dave. Which beach are we looking at there?
That one, you always catch me on these. That's called Arma. I know that one.
Oh, very good. And more beach shots is so. Whilst we don't have any sun in the sky, we can always look at Snapshot magazine and get some from the pages of the magazine there. And is that a coffee table waiting to happen? Bottom right there.
It's wonderful what the sea kicks out sometimes, isn't it? It's perfect for Dave for a nice bit of foreground interest. But this is all Amarera. It's our local, one of our local beaches, isn't it? It's an old,
Or it was a coffee table and somebody turned it into a pallet, possibly, and then left it in the sea there. Very good. Beautiful pictures, Dave. Love to Dave, of course. Best regards to Dave. Nice. Fabulous shots there. They lift the spirits, don't they? Especially that top right-hand corner one. That's doing something to me this morning. And a couple more there as well. Very beautiful. And thank you for the heads up on this. Republic Day coming up on Saturday. It's always the 5th of October, isn't it? So we won't, I think some businesses will be shut, but it won't be affecting business in quite the same way as a public holiday that happens in the week.
No, I think some people will probably take Friday off and have a long weekend, though.
Yes.
I think sleep that one, don't they? But
yes,
there aren't many months without a public holiday, are there, in Portugal? Let's be honest, at least one.
And this is October's. If you want to learn a bit more about that, we've got a little bit of a resource over at the Portugal Club. So I'll put the link for that in the chat as well. Will you be celebrating Portugal's Republic Day? I don't think I do, generally speaking.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there are great events happening anywhere. I couldn't find anything very exciting.
No, it's strange, isn't it? It's actually quite a quiet one, yeah.
Yeah, just a nice day off then.
Yeah. Historically, it's a really important day, isn't it? If you think about it.
It is. It is an important day for the culture and the history of the country. Yeah, so worth having a look into. Maybe that's how we could celebrate, is have a little bit of a deep dive into what that means, and maybe we'll look a bit more at that tomorrow ahead of the big day itself. There, okay. Thanks, and thank you for. I think you like to do that in Snapshot. You let people know that something's coming up, so when they go to a government
office, to know that when you want to go to the camera or the Junta de Freguesia and then you find it shut, you know why it's shut.
You do. Yes.
The only time I realise there's another bank holiday is when I go somewhere and go, oh, no, post office is shut today. It must be a bank holiday. And
coincidentally, on that one day of the month where you need to get something done. Strange. That's just bizarre, isn't it? Right. Jill Good, whose name is familiar to me. I don't know why that is, but Jill Good's lovely work here. This is who we're in the studio with. And I love that. That's a windmill, isn't it, at the bottom there? Munoz.
Yeah, beautiful, isn't it? Her work's... She just has an elegance about her watercolours. I think they're beautiful. She's been out here for a long while. She's certainly in the Algarve. A lot of people know her as a local artist. And she sets up events. She's always at craft fairs with cards and prints as well. So she's quite well known. And a really lovely lady as well, I have to say. She's a really nice person to have as a friend.
Okay.
I just love her work. It's gentle. But it's quite striking. There's watercolors. I gave up trying to become a watercolor painter. Everyone starts with watercolors when they want to learn to paint, and I always go, don't get some acrylics out, throw them around, because actually watercolors, for me, you paint the wrong way. So you have to know from the start where you want the lightest color to be, because you have to save that bit of the paper. You can't paint on it. You want the pure white to come through. You've either got to, you can mask it. Some people use masking fluid, or you've actually got to leave that paper completely white and not paint on it. My brain works the opposite way. So the last thing I want to do is try and work out where my light's going to end up right at the start.
Okay. So no going back once you've committed to the watercolor.
No, and to get them like Jill does, you see there on their skies, her washes are beautiful.
They are, aren't they? It's just it reminds me of being back at school in the art class when I used to enjoy that part of it. Is doing the stretch of the paper because when you put the watercolor on, the paper can buckle, can't it? So you've got to do a stretch on it as well. Very nice. The work of Jill. Hey, I know this bloke.
I knew you didn't know this one. You know who this is. He needs no introduction, does he?
A very good photograph as well, I have to say. I took that picture. Our property of the week is Quinta dos Três Rios. And I met Paul in real life there. It was great. It was a real pleasure to meet him in real life. And I said, I need a decent photograph of you, Paul, because when we make a slide to get him on the show, he's got this really old, blurry photograph. And he said, yeah, I need a photograph, actually. So I took one or two, and they turned out quite nicely. I think I've captured the character of the man in that picture there.
Absolutely. I didn't realise it was yours. I should have credited you as the photographer.
Not at all. No, don't worry. Those are the beautiful granite walls of Quinta dos Três Rios. Why though? Why is he in your magazine?
Well, you can't resist interviewing somebody that interesting, can you? We've known Paul for years because obviously he used to be down in the Algarve. So he was one of the first people we met when we moved out here to live. Just as a friend, we just bumped it. I can't remember even how we met him the first time. Just one of those people you got to know and loved.
Yes.
So we've kept in touch with him, and obviously now he's moved, as you know, to the central Algarve and set up his rural properties company. So I'm just kind of interested because it's a bit of a kind of renaissance for him, really. He's starting a whole new business and a new place and way of life. So his life and work in Portugal is, as you say, he is a very interesting character, very unassuming and modest as well, but great to chat with, especially about Portugal. So there you go. There you go. I showed you that question. I asked him about advice to share, and I love it. He said, relax, you can't do everything. Much of what may annoy you really doesn't matter. And I thought that sums up Paul beautifully, doesn't it?
It does. He's learned that. That comes with the scars, but he can share that message with you. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what's happening on the right-hand side of our screen here?
I just thought you'd enjoy that. There's our monkey, bless her, sat on the lounge enjoying herself. She has a hard life, doesn't she?
She does.
Well, because we walk along the river path every morning, and that's where I tripped and fell, remember, in the mud. So we all know about the mud along the path. But obviously in the summer, it's just nice and dusty. And she goes racing across the water in the fields in the morning, enjoying herself, barking at any car that dares to drive along the road. I mean, how dare they?
Yeah, how dare they?
With the lights flashing. But every morning I have to hose her down because she's always got stuff stuck in the curly fur and she's always muddy. But the other morning, I just made myself laugh because this is my trouser above my knee. And she jumped up and literally not only left a paw print, but you can see all the little claw marks.
That was framing. Yeah, that was framing. It's like a sort of canine Turin shroud as well, isn't it? Very good.
Oh, no, it's like something out of a sort of sci-fi movie, isn't it? It's like
very good.
Very good. And dogs, because they're huge paw prints.
Well, that is how she would sign her work, of course, as well, isn't it? So there you go.
It's impressive, isn't it?
A Zara signed print, probably from.
But I've never seen claw marks before on a paw print. So.
No, that's very, very detailed. Obviously, an artist dog.
Obviously, she's probably quite good at watercolor. I'll have to try.
Your influence is right there. And here's Ollie. We're looking to give a dog a home, as we do this time of the month, every month. Yeah. Vaccinated and dewormed, you'll be glad to know, and born in 2020. So a 4-year-old castrated Labrador of 31.9 kilograms. So a large dog. This is a large lab who, like most labs, will enjoy eating mainly. Yes.
I thought it was really sad that his owner died and the shelter. So it's quite rare you get a purebred Labrador, I think, to actually find it in the kennel in the shelter. So, and I just thought, oh, look at that gorgeous face. I always find Labradors irresistible. I think there's something so affectionate about them, isn't there? Yes,
a sad backstory as well. Okay, so yes, if you can give Ollie a home, if you're in the Algarve, if you've been waiting to make the acquaintance of a Labrador here, there's Ollie, who definitely needs a home at the moment. We're eating our greens, Ian. I think we wouldn't put these on a cereal, would we? No. What's happening? Is this detox? It looks like a detox picture to me, Ali.
Well, it's grellosh. Well, I call it grellosh, but I'm never quite sure how you're actually supposed to do it. Grellosh. Local down here in the Algarve, you're not going to get that much of a pronunciation. You just get grellosh. It's as fast as you can say it. But it's one of those lovely things. We often, get a big wok pan, and just you can actually, if you go to like local markets and ask for grellosh, as you say, a grellosh, you'll actually get a really nice bunch of greens, and quite often they've literally got the flower heads still on them as well. Yes. So you can throw all of that in the pan. Just get some garlic and a bit of oil, a bit of vinegar, salt and pepper. But it's just a really healthy, nice accompaniment to a steak or a bit of fish. It's lovely. So it's a nice, simple recipe. I mean, I think traditionally it's turnip greens.
You're right. Turnip tops. That's right. Yeah.
Turnip tops. But you can use anything really, anything green. Throw it in.
Bit of a stir fry, Portuguese stir fry, and keep it nice and green. It's veg that hasn't had the soul boiled out of it, so all of the goodness and nutrition is still in there. That is actually a very appetizing looking picture there, even though I called it a detox picture. Green and great, and a little serving suggestion for you there from Relish magazine and Ivan there. Fantastic. Who is this? Who are we meeting this month here? Having a dip.
Another of our friends, Sophie, she's brilliant. Another Algarve, I think that's how we pronounce her. Yeah, she's brilliant. She runs property rental holiday company, but she's been out here for a long while. And I shared with you her top tips for visitors. I love this. This is very Algarve, by the way. You'll like this. Number 1, sit on the cliff top. Number 2, jump in the ocean. Number 3, watch the sunset and the moonrise. Number 4, shop local. And number 5, eat local. And I love that. And that's just simple pleasures. I mean, it's a great picture over there, isn't it? Floating on there. That's Monte Clerigo. That's one of our local beaches. And there she is enjoying the waves. But
that is some cracking advice. That is fantastic. Very good, Sophie. Good. Yeah, very good. Sit on the cliff top, jump in the ocean, not probably from the cliff top, although,
it happens a lot down here. Yeah.
Watch the sunset and the moon rise. Very good. Shop local, eat local, some of them greens. And Alyson, says Liz, Well, your car is a spring chicken compared to my little Renault 5 from the 80s, which I use whenever I visit the Algarve. I bet you're a picture in that, Liz. It belonged to my dad and is still going strong. And P.S. Always enjoy your magazine. So that's lovely.
Thank you, Liz. That's great. And that's it. I'm going to see how long I can keep our little jazz going now, see if I can beat you.
Kat's questions then here this month. Tell us more.
Yeah, another famous dog, Barbie. She's the star of the book that you can see there, The Mutt for Me. American Guide Don. She was literally in one of the shelters, and she was unadoptable, according to the shelter, and was literally about to be euthanized and put down the next day. And he heard about it, rushed over there, and took her home.
Wow.
Turned into the most beautiful, gorgeous girl, and he's written a book about her life. And it wasn't easy. I love his book. I read it and really enjoyed it because he was very honest. If you take on a dog that is unadoptable, in the shelter's terms, you know you're going to have some problems. But he was patient and gentle, and she's turned into a very beautiful, loving girl and a real character as well. The book's great because there's some great stories of what she gets up to.
But it wasn't easy by the sound of it.
No, it isn't. And I think sometimes you need to take the advice of a shelter. I mean, that Labrador that we shared, Ollie, he can just march into your home, sit down, give him a biscuit, and he'll fall asleep on your lap.
Yes, right, yes.
Other dogs, you know, are going to take, like Zara. We didn't quite realise how much she had never been socialised. So she has no idea what to do when somebody she doesn't know comes past or another dog comes by. It's been really hard. You have to be patient. I think for me, the easiest thing I always remember with Zara is it's not her fault. She is not a dog. She is petrified and scared, and she reacts by barking. But she never attacks. There isn't any sense of aggression at all in the poor girl. She's frightened, but she's learned if she barks, you step back a bit. It's instinct. Woof. So actually, the minute that person moves back a bit, great. I've got a bit more space. I'm a bit safer. I'll keep barking. Move back a bit more.
Well, that's worth bearing in mind, isn't it? If you encounter a nervous dog of that kind, step back, give it a bit of space, and hear what Ali's saying there. It's not the dog's fault necessarily. It might be the upbringing that it's had. Good advice there. Thanks, Ali, and a lovely story by the sound of it.
The Mutt for Me. It's on Amazon. It's a really good book. I can recommend it. It's a good read.
Yes. Bringing back memories of the summer we never had this year in the barbecue.
I can see somebody sneaking around the back. And there's the top of her head moves across.
Did you see her? She tried not to be seen there. There's the hand.
Hang on.
You almost succeeded there.
You. Our hands over on the left.
Thank you. Right. Our Portuguese tuition is about food and not entering a room without being seen, which didn't go terribly well. Hunger and satisfaction. Oh, very good. Okay, so when you're hungry, you ten your fome.
Yes.
Fond there. And I'm famished. What a lovely turn of phrase. So there you go. A little bit of Portuguese help from Rui and Joel at Practice Portuguese there. I've got to turn the page. I can't bear looking at the barbecue anymore. It's making me really hungry. But there you go. A bit of vocab for you there. Always helpful. Thank you for that. Oh, stop it! Turn the page. There's another flipping meal on there.
I was laughing because I knew you were going to turn over and get an even better picture of food.
What have we got on that plate?
Oh, lagotinhos. Do you know lagotinhos where you?
That's strips of pork, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's black pork.
Yes.
Pork it's my absolute favourite meal out. Always. I mean, look at the salad I get because Dave has chips with his as well, beautiful cut chips, and I can't eat chips, so they give me extra salad. But the lagotinhos, there's something absolutely more about them. It's just the fact that they're cooked perfectly, so there's a real juicy kind of.
Oh, stop it! Stop it, Ali! Enough.
But I don't think if you're not Portuguese or local, you might not porco preto. I mean, porco preto. I'm not sure. I think it's only Iberian. I'm not sure.
I think you're right. AKA
pigs.
lagartos as well. So lagartinhos, lagartos, the strips basically.
You get secretos as well, which is also another black pork. But it's because the animals can roam free, so they eat the acorns from the oak tree, and they get it's almost nutty. I think there's a flavour to black pork that you can't call it pork because I find pork usually quite a boring meat, to be honest. Unless it's got some flavour or sauce added, it doesn't have its own flavour. But black pork does. You don't need to do anything with black pork. Just eat it.
Can we hold on? Can we rewind? Pork quite boring. Did you see what you did there? Wild boar, pork. Anyway, okay. And Largotinho, little lizards, absolutely are strips of pork.
I know, which is worse, my brain for saying it, your brain for recognising it.
I thought you'd been waiting all morning just to crack that funny. Okay, and there we go. So that's October's. I mean, it's October already. I can't believe it, Ali. And a beautiful shot to end with there. We're looking at. Is that Algarve as well? There.
Yeah, that's Algarve. That's the castle. Yeah, is it? It's such a pretty town. I love it. It's because I don't know if there's any law about it, but everyone paints their houses white. You wouldn't dream of putting a red or a pink house in the middle of Algarve. You wouldn't be allowed to.
Well, you know who's going to be first to photograph the first red house in Algarve? It's going to be Dave, isn't it? If that ever happens. So.
No, I don't think the camera would let you. It's just there's something gently beautiful about that kind of a view, isn't it? You can't spoil it. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes, because it works, doesn't it? And I guess that's why people wouldn't go against that. And it probably isn't a law. It's just probably something people. Isn't that the best kind of law? You know, kind of local social law. Fantastic. And that's where to get yours. There's the link for getting your own copy of Snapshot. Will you bear with us? And let's do the God's God tip of the day together, because we've been talking about food, funnily enough, again here. So no escape from the food this morning. And Coach Turner, yes, the rain is finally stopping, I think, in Hertfordshire, so might be out training this afternoon. The God's God tip of the day, then continuing the nutrition theme. There's been that this morning, isn't there? There's been milk, cereal, and those lovely shots that Ali shared with us that have made me really hungry. I need to go and have breakfast now, but not until we've done the God's God tip of the day. I want to talk about dairy products. There you go, full circle. They've had a bad rap over the last few years, but it seems that was wrong. Well, what do you know? The latest research, a large study over a long period of time, shows that consuming dairy at worst is neutral on life expectancy, and fermented milk products can improve gut health if you're not lactose intolerant, of course. And with lactose intolerance, I have to keep clear if you have such a condition or predisposition. Yes, Ali, but there's no need for the rest of us to worry, it seems. Well, you'll know whether you need to worry about it or not. If you eat some fermented milk, you will soon find out if you've got a lactose intolerance. I think the real problem with the alternatives. There you go. This is full circle, which by and large are ultra processed. If you look at ingredients, there are likely to be emulsifiers, preservatives, and even sugars, none of which are helpful. That includes products like soy milk, aforementioned, flavored yogurts, and plastic cheese and spreads. You almost can't believe it's not. There you go. So we now have milk in tea and coffee, natural yogurt, butter, and enjoy cheese. If nothing else, the flavor is better. Isn't that funny, that full circle there? What do you do, Ali? Do you find that because you avoid certain things, you end up with a highly processed alternative as an option?
No, the opposite. I joked, if anything's got more than 2 ingredients on the label, I probably can't eat it, because at least one of those 2 will be something that's going to be against my inflammatory diet. So I have coconut milk. I found a coconut milk online that I can order and get shipped in. So coconut milk I make porridge with, that's the only milk. I find I can have kefir. And kefir actually, as they say, is good for gut health.
Yes.
But I have to be very careful which one I buy and where it's from. I can't do it.
It's quite hard to avoid a lot of this stuff, as you say, because I notice now I read the labels nearly all the time, because we were trying to cut down on sugar, and actually cut down on sugar is just almost impossible. Nearly everything has got some added sugar in for whatever reason I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have to check all those, but I mean the list of things I don't eat is huge, but I do eat very healthily, because I can have meat and fish, I can have my lagotinhos, thank goodness, and I can have all the fruits and vegetables as long as they're not the nightshades. So in terms of basically very little that's packaged, to be honest. I mean, most I'm going to stop in a minute. And it's rare.
You're the same as us, yeah. It's very rare that we do, start from scratch and then see how it is.
We are, we're onto something here, aren't we? Because once it's packaged and once it's processed, you've probably gone into some territory that, if you're not intolerant, it's still not very good for you to have all that seed oils that T Duck was mentioning earlier on, and all those things that add value. as it were, don't really add value in terms of longevity and quality of life. So good theme. Thank you for adding to that this morning. And to Fabrizio for talking about cereals, which gave birth to that whole conversation basically this morning. So love to him. Ian, if you can thank him on our behalf. It's always great.
Yeah, I will do. Actually, just one last thing. It was very strange. We were out with some, obviously out with some Portuguese eating, and as soon as we started eating, we started talking about food. I don't know if this is anything anybody else has answered, but someone said the Portuguese are strange because as soon as you go out to eat, you always talk about food. You don't talk about anything else for half the conversation. At least half the conversation seems to revolve around food or something you've ate or something you used to.
It's so important here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very odd, and it's true. So now I start listening to all the conversations. Like, yeah, we're talking about food again, aren't we?
Yes, yeah. Okay, let's change the subject. Let's talk about wine now, because that's probably what happens next, is it? Let's talk about drink instead. Fantastic. And you'll be glad to know, Ali, that even though I was taunted online with another type of male underwear, we will not be going there. I was saying earlier on, sometimes we find our boundaries by crossing them, and I'm not going to be doing that with this. I think we went far enough last time, but it was so bizarre that coincidentally there was an advert for male lingerie this morning on my timeline, which is that's just, it was black and lacy, and it had, I don't know, it had an extension in it that probably should have had required planning permission, but it was anyway. The point is, I am not going to be sharing that with you. We have found our natural line with male underwear and fashion.
The problem is, you've just talked about it again. The algorithms are listening, and you.
Sorry. Okay, quick. Let's shut it down. Well done. Sorry, go on. Were you going to add something there? Were you going to throw some more things into the algorithm maker?
I have conversations and mention odd words every now and then, and it is really quite scary how you stick on Facebook the next morning and there's an advert for whatever it is you mentioned in random the day before.
Yes, and with a nice price to lure you in even further. I've got to say they were very competitively priced. Anyway, on that note, let's kill the algorithm. Let's kill those little bits of technology that are eavesdropping and serving up adverts to us tomorrow. Thanks, Fabrizio and Ian in Lisbon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you tonight with Philomena. The webinar is about going to the doctor and the pharmacy and the lingo you'll need for that, and a dream team thereafter. So have a great day. Maybe see you tonight. If not, see you tomorrow for some Feel Good Friday fun. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.